Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, this is a no-nonsense video in regards to the Dame Lillard trade situation. If you don't have enough, Portland's going to say no. I don't care how bad you want this to happen, Miami, Toronto. If you don't have enough, Portland's going to say no. No nonsense. The packages that are being floated around out there do not benefit the Portland Trailblazers in any way. None of them. Absolutely none of them. The risk for the Portland Trailblazers is if you start the season and he gets hurt, any package would have been good for him. But that's not how you operate. Now, when you're trying to rebuild your situation, what they need is either young talent or picks to go along with Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson, and ultimately Anthony Simons if they choose not to trade him. I don't know that not trading him makes the most sense, given that you want to give Scoot the keys to the car. And if that's the case, the only team I really want to do trades with is teams that can give me stuff that's going to make sense in that regard. Utah, San Antonio, maybe Boston, depending on what they have left in their pick situation. Houston, Orlando. These are the teams that have the packages for Dame. If none of those teams want Dame, then they're settling for a package that doesn't really make sense for them. There may be other teams that I didn't mention as well. Maybe Indiana can get involved for Dame because they got a lot of young stuff that Portland might be interested in. Mostly guards, but valuable stuff. But teams that want Dame, you don't have the package from what I can tell. And from what I've seen, I'm going to be dead honest with you guys. In comparison to some of the other packages out there, it's almost like these teams are bidding low because they know that Dame wants to go to Miami, and Miami doesn't have a whole lot. So they're not going to be bidding against themselves, which is also a problem that Portland's running into in regards to the packages they're receiving. My opinion, you don't trade Dame at all. You take the risk that he runs into an injury issue. Why? Because if you take the wrong package, you're going to put yourself in a position to where your team's not going to be good enough, and you're trying to develop young talents who will ultimately want to be paid and in winning situations. It's not what you do. Plus, you look at what just happened with the Timberwolves. They paid how much for Rudy Gobert? Dame is worth 3 times Rudy Gobert. So you know you're going to have to come up with a lot if you want to get Dame off of him, especially on multiple years on his contract. So, no nonsense, man. Enough of this. I know the media wants to try to push Dame off to Toronto. But if Toronto's not going to be willing to throw in basically Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam, or 2 out of 3, it ain't happening. You're not going to be able to throw in no Chris Boucher. He holds no value. No disrespect to Chris, but he holds no value. What's the other guy that they were trying to throw from the Toronto Raptors? It was somebody else they were trying to throw in there, a name. He's not going to help the Portland Trailblazers and what it is they're trying to get done. Okay? Now, if you can throw in multi-pieces, I heard somebody say something like, you get Phoenix involved, and you can do Ayton, and then if we move Ayton, we could put... it's like, no, that's not going to get it done either. You got to really come up with something, and the only way that's going to really shake up is if you start the season and see guys whose value elevate from within their circumstances and then become more valuable that way. It has to be an organic value increase from some of these players. In other words, Miami's going to have a much better shot at getting Dame 4 or 5 weeks into the season if Jaime Jaquez has a good start to his season, if Tyler Hero has a good start to his season, if those are the 2 things that need to happen. Orlando Robinson just breaks all the way out or something like that. That's the only way Miami really has a package. Tyler Hero's going to have an all-star season, and at that point, you're not going to want to trade him for Dame. Or vice versa. Dame starts the season and bricks every shot. Then you could possibly see a move where they'll be like, okay, well, his value ain't where it needs to be. He's falling off a cliff. He's old now, and now we want to get rid of his contract. Then, in that case, Portland would probably be willing to take back a hot Tyler Hero, a hot Rookie of the Year like Jaime Jaquez, to which Miami fans ain't going to want to do that anyway. I'm telling you. You could see a trade being made, but it just wouldn't be in the Portland Trailblazers' best interest to do it. That's all it is. And now, if they want to bite the bullet, hey, it's been a world where teams have done that. They just bit the bullet. Hey, give me this guy and give me 2 picks and let's get it done just to clear up space. But if the Portland Trailblazers are trying to really help themselves, they're going to ignore all these teams that are trying to offer them all these things that I'm hearing about. They can ignore all of that. None of that's any good, man. You want Danny Ainge on the phone, okay? You want San Antonio on the phone. Teams that have picks forever. The Houston Rockets on the phone. Those are the teams I really want to talk to if I'm the Portland Trailblazers. Orlando Magic. If you're not offering me Franz Wagner, Cole Anthony, what else? That wonderful contract of Wendell Carter Jr. and like 4 picks, I don't want to talk to you. You understand what I'm saying? And Orlando don't need Dame Lillard. They're not interested in even game. They're trying to get rid of guards. They don't need no guards. You see what I'm saying? The Pacers, look, I'm going to want Ben Mathurin. I'm going to want Ben Shepherd. I'm going to want I'm gonna want Miles Turner. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna want the stuff that's good, man. This is Dame Lillard. Dame time. He's won 2 series at the buzzer in different years. Like 72-point game last season. I'm not giving away this guy who I drafted, who's gonna go in the Hall of Fame in my jersey. Arguably the greatest Portland Trailblazer ever. Arguably. He's not gonna go for anything less than what it is I want if I'm the GM of the Portland Trailblazers. Unless the owner is just pressuring me to move on from arguably our greatest player ever. And we're a small market in this situation. So that's not in our benefit. There's no guarantee we ever get another Dame. There's no guarantee that Scoot is going to turn into that. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So it's like, for me, I'm not moving Dame until I see something that makes me happy if I'm the Portland Trailblazers. And if they're evaluating talent properly, they're not happy with any of this. Problem that I'm worried about with Portland is, are they one of those teams that don't value things properly? Are they going to see value in a Robert Covington? Are they going to see value in a Chris Boucher? And if that's the case, they're going to make a bad trade. And a lot of teams are like that. A lot of teams. As we talked about earlier today, the Golden State Warriors, they bring in a bunch of stuff that can't do nothing for them. On top of old players that can't do nothing for them. Even like Mike Dunleavy need to go. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a whole nother story. But these are the type of things, like if Portland is thinking that way, then yeah, you could probably get a trade going. You could probably do something. But I'm looking at stuff like Furkan Korkmaz at Philly. They trying to toss in the expiring contract of what's his name? My guy Tobias Harris, like that. I'm not wanting none of that from Portland. You know, Tyrese Maxey. All right, we talking. All right, now we're getting somewhere. You know what I mean? But it's like, look, even if I get a package that I like, if I'm Portland, now we're looking at Dame and saying, Dame, I'm sending you somewhere that I'm ultimately going to be gutting to still in order for you to leave. And Dame ain't gonna want to go for that. Dame is gonna say, I'm not gonna report if you gut too much. And that's what's wrong with the Toronto situation. Toronto don't have a chance in hell, because at the end of the day, the stuff that it's ultimately going to take to get him is ultimately the stuff he's gonna want to play with. You see what I'm saying? So the media can talk whatever they want about this trade, and like I said, Portland can just bite the bullet if they want to, and we'll see something happen. But if they're thinking clearly, ain't nothing gonna happen. Because there's not a good trade out there for Dame. All the teams that I would otherwise do a trade for with, in regards to, they have point guards. They got guards. That's the problem. What needs to happen is what I said. You're going to start the season, see certain players' value ascend, see certain guys get hurt, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen, but that's how it goes. And then you start seeing the opening of what ultimately a good trade package can look like, based on the ascending and descending value of certain players. That's it. Otherwise, there's nothing, man. There's absolutely nothing. Maybe a new team emerges that I'm not thinking about that has a bunch of picks that they would be willing to forward out there. Maybe, I don't know. You could see a situation where if the Kyrie Irving situation doesn't work out in Dallas, maybe they try to swap him for Kyrie and some picks or something. Maybe that's the kind of thing. Maybe. But even then, it's like, why am I trading a point guard for a point guard in that situation? So I can quickly debunk that as well. And that's also a problem. A lot of the players that you're ultimately going to see shake out that maybe couldn't be on the move are in the same position he's in, and they got more players in that position a lot of the time. Because the league is full of guards. So it would help more if Dame was a power forward, a small forward. That would make this a lot easier. But the fact that he's a point guard, that doesn't particularly make people better with his natural ability, but more so gets buckets for himself, it's even harder to move. So, like, this is, like I said, a no-nonsense video. Just like I made earlier today, I'm in a no-nonsense mood as it pertains to the NBA. You're not going to give my team, if I'm the Portland Trailblazers, a bunch of names. I can very easily find talent out of nowhere, pay them very little to nothing, put them on two-way contracts, and they'll fit the timeline of Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson. I can live that way. Have my own natural picks, tank for a couple years, let those guys develop, and build that way. I don't have to do nothing. I don't do anything at all. We can shut Dame down. You know what I'm saying? If that's what it comes down to. Rather than allow him to get hurt, I'll shut him down. And so these are the type of things, like, if Portland's serious about making sure they get the proper value for Dame Lillard, that might be an option. And Dame ain't going to like it, but hey, I don't care. I got to take care of my team. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, Dame signed a contract. You know, so that's it. For any of the inconvenience that he has, he got paper for that. So this is about how Portland can keep from falling into the dumps. And bringing back Chris Boucher and a bunch of other stuff that don't hold no value. Furkan Korkmaz, 2 picks, please. Not in this trade market. Not when you see Rudy Gobert going for 5 picks, including Walker Kessler, who's likely going to be one of the best shot blockers in the league, and a bunch of other stuff on top of that too. Hell no. It's Dame Lillard. I'm going to need a package like that. And it just ain't available to me. Especially when he's forcing his way to a team that don't have nothing at all. I'm shutting him down. I'm not taking nothing from Miami. You're not going to be able to give me a bunch of garbage, Miami, and a couple picks that you don't have. We know you don't have no picks. You know, Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero's fantastic, man. I like Tyler Hero a lot. I think his best landing spot is likely in Washington. Just play next to his doppelganger, Jordan Poole. That's where he probably should land. And then if for some reason the Washington Wizards want to throw in a bunch of picks just to make life easy for us, even though they have no incentive to do that, I can do the Washington Wizards, Portland Trail Blazers, and Miami Heat deal for Dame Lillard. But like I said, what is the incentive there for Washington to throw in enough to make Portland happy? Number one, Jusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simons. What the hell does that do for me if I'm Washington? I'm in a rebuild situation with all my natural picks. What the hell, like, you see what I'm saying? So that don't make no sense. But you got to find a landing spot for Tyler Hero, and you got to find somebody who wants to overpay for Tyler Hero if you're the Miami Heat. You need somebody to overpay for everything you have in order for this trade to make any sense, in my opinion. And it ain't going to be Portland. So how do you do it? God knows. It's not going to happen with everybody's value being as it is in this offseason. You need guys to come out of nowhere on your team and on other teams so that you can make that trade actually really make sense for the Portland Trail Blazers if they actually know what they're doing. So that's what I have to say, man. Enough of this. Because I'm watching the media throw garbage out there just for clicks. And people who follow me know I don't play like that. I'm a fantasy basketball fan who has leagues where there's like 18 teams in a league. I know who can play and who can't. Some of these dudes that y'all want to throw in as a trade, you're fleecing Portland, and Portland cannot afford that. In the market that they're in, with the history that they've had, coupled with the financial issues that they've had that we've documented on this channel, they just got out of the dumps. They didn't even have a mid-level exception for the last 5 years. That's why Portland has never won anything. It's because they didn't have enough to build anything. They're finally in a position to do so, and now Dame wants out because they drafted Scoot. And while I think Scoot is good enough to take that chance on, this is a problem they didn't need. It would have been a lot easier for them to just not do that. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, they didn't have the choice to go with Brandon Miller because Brandon went to Charlotte, right, before they had a chance to. But that would have been ideal if Brandon Miller would have fell to him. And they wouldn't have none of these problems. They just slot him in next to Dame, next to Shaedon Sharpe, and just keep moving. My thought was probably draft Amen Thompson. That's what I probably would have been considering if I was Portland. And that way I wouldn't have this problem either. Because Amen slots in better, in my opinion, than Scoot. Because Scoot and Dame, in theory, can't play with one another. Scoot, Dame, and Simons certainly can't play with one another. And you just signed Simons to a $100 million deal just a year ago. So it's like Portland has made some decisions that ultimately made things a little harder for themselves. I think the best thing for Portland to do is try to create some space in regards to them guards. Move Simons in this deal and allow that to shake out some of the value that ultimately will come back to you. But even that doesn't bring you any incentive. Not really. It just makes it so that the trade is easier for other teams, for which, again, it's no incentive to you if you're Portland. So, like, this is nonsense. It ain't none of it necessary at all. What is necessary is that Dame don't get hurt to start the season. So if I'm Portland, I'm shutting him down until I find a trade that I like. And unfortunately, at this age, his value goes down if he's not playing basketball. He gets out of shape in his 30s. That's not a good plan either. That's why I tell you, if I'm Portland, I may actually trade Scoot Henderson and keep Dame Lillard, and that takes away all these problems. And of course, you don't want to do that because you believe in Scoot Henderson, but look at the problems you're creating. Are you really even building anything around Scoot when this happens? If you got to settle for Tyler Hero or Chris Boucher and OG Anunoby, who only plays half a season, that's another thing. OG Anunoby, value, inflated. I'm sorry. Somebody got to say it. That boy is injury prone as hell, man. He hasn't played a full season ever. Ever. He's never played a full season, y'all. When we talk about players like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, OG Anunoby is in that category. He don't be playing a lot. They're trying to inflate his value, talking about they can get 4 or 5 picks for him. You see he ain't been moved. His value's inflated based on the fact that he's won a championship, for which, if I remember correctly, he wasn't even a part of because he was hurt. The year they won the championship, he wasn't down there. So, yeah, that's not a good trade for them. For Portland to bring back OG. so he can play 50 games a season. That's not a good trade. And Chris Boucher, OG Anunoby, Grady Dick, that ain't enough, man. I like Grady a lot, but we got to see him on the floor first. If he goes off and becomes a Rookie of the Year candidate, boom, inflated value, like I said. Now we can probably make a trade. But then again, you're not going to want to trade him then. So it's like there is no good path to Dame going anywhere because he is trying to force his way to Miami, and Miami doesn't have anything. So that makes it even worse. And that's why I shut him down. That's exactly why I shut him down. This is a reaction to him trying to force his way to a certain spot, making it so that I can't make any trades that I like. Because all the teams that would otherwise bid up are bidding down to try to match Miami. And I ain't doing that. I'm not taking that package from Miami, and I'm not taking an equivalent package from anybody else. No nonsense. So that's what it is, man. If you're trying to run your franchise properly, you ain't going to let stuff like this happen. You're not. You're not going to even create these problems. This is the problem that the Lakers would have had in a way if they would have drafted Cam Whitmore in theory, because now you're trying to push LeBron James and Rui Hachimura in different directions so that you can properly invest in him without actually having a pure point guard. This is what we were talking about. Even though I was a little upset with my team, I had to think about it. Then I looked at what the problems would be for bringing in that talent and realized it's easier to just draft a point guard. You know what I mean? And if Miami would have drafted Cam Whitmore just the same, right after we didn't, they wouldn't have this problem either because he would have been a value that would have made this trade look better. Portland would have wanted him. But Jaime Jaquez, he cool. I like him. I personally think he's better than the consensus thinks he is. But that doesn't matter. He's going to have to prove that. And so this is why you don't draft him if you're Miami, especially if you're trying to get Dame. You got to see that coming. And they didn't. So, my thing is this. Pat Riley, thank you for everything you did for the Lakers. Straight up, I'm a Laker fan. I wasn't around for all that. I didn't watch the Lakers until 1994, but I wasn't really watching during his era. But I respect what he did for us. But the way that he operates and the way he's been operating for the last 10 years, his team's been able to get over because they have a really, really great coach and really, really high-level star players. But the role players and stuff like that stuff don't hold a lot of value. He's continued to bring himself stuff that doesn't hold value and overpay people he shouldn't overpay. Hassan Whiteside, Chris Bosh, that's where they went wrong. Years and years ago, that's where they went wrong. I've been following them the whole time, I know. If they wouldn't have did that, they would have had more now. That's exactly what's happening here. Duncan Robinson, never do that. All of these decisions that he made on his watch is why they don't have to trade for Dame right now. And this is why it's so important that you have your books in order. This is why I was getting on my Lakers 2 or 3 years ago when we were bringing ourselves DJ Augustine and stuff like that. No. Let that be two-way players that can ascend in value. Now look at us. We got all kinds of young talent coming out of nowhere that don't cost nothing. And we got some of those guys taking pay cuts just to be here because we're a winning situation. That's what Miami needs. That's what Portland needs to be building. How can they build that if they take back garbage? They cannot. That's why I always tell you teams, invest in your farm systems. Every single team should have a G League team for this exact reason. Because you could take some of them G League dudes, play them 20 minutes a game, and ascend them in value and trade them off in trades like this. If you don't have those players and you're getting these old guys, you continue to re-sign the Chris Bouchers and the Jay Crowders, you ain't getting nothing. You're never going to make a move that you like. Bringing in Chris Paul at cost value Golden State, talking about he's going to be our starting point guard, that is the worst decision of the whole year. It's the worst decision of the whole year. He's a buyout guy. He should have been bought out by the last two teams. And the only reason why he wasn't is because you stupid behinds and traded for him at cost value. All you had to do is wait a few weeks. You could have signed him for $1 million. Stupid stuff. That's going to keep the Golden State Warriors in a position to ultimately not ever win a championship again, regardless how great Steph plays. He ain't going to be good enough because his team's going to be trash. Watch it happen. Just wait on it. So this is what I've been telling. This is what I've been trying to teach everybody who follows me, man. This is why we talk the way that we talk, because we know how bad things can go from a year-to-year perspective. It ain't just about this year, man. You make decisions that ultimately hurt you 6-7 years down the road. And you know the Timberwolves are going to be in the dumps for a long time because of the trade they made. And Utah got the picks to get everybody. Utah got the trade package to get everybody. And I tell you, if I'm Dame Lillard, that's where I want to go. Because they got 2 teams worth of assets because the Minnesota Timberwolves gutted their whole team to get a center that they ain't even want. They're the team that Dame should be trying to get to. You can win there. They got the package. But guys are hard-headed. They want to live where they want to live, but they don't want to retire, though. They want to make all the money, but then they want to play with good players. Nah, fam, you don't get to do both. You don't get to do both. This is what we've been talking about. So, in response to all of that, if I'm the Portland Trailblazers, I'm shutting Dame down. I'm not going to risk him getting hurt. I'm going to take my chances with him getting older and try to find a trade package that makes sense as the season starts when guys are sending value. Otherwise, I'm just taking back something I can't use that's going to keep me in the dumps and ultimately going to make it so that I'm probably end up losing those two guys, Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson. After they finish making when they first, get their first contract, after them 7 years have passed, they're going to get the hell out of there. Why? Because of stuff you're doing right now, if you don't do it right. I'm telling y'all, man, I'm trying to teach. I hope people pay attention to me. I've been studying stuff all my life, bro. There will be no trade to the Toronto Raptors unless the Toronto Raptors throw in a bunch of stuff they have no business throwing in, and then Dame would have to be dumb enough to agree to that, even though he doesn't have a no trade clause. He would have to be dumb enough to show up to camp to play for a team that's probably likely as bad as the team he's leaving, if not worse, if they gut him for a proper trade package. Toronto's a horrible place for him to go, and that's the only way they look at it. You're going to give away Siakam, Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby. Who is he playing with? He's going to be down there shooting all the shots. Nobody's playing any defense. He's out of here in the first round. If he even make the playoffs. No. He's trying to force his way to Miami so he can play with Bam and play with Jimmy. But there's no package that Miami has without throwing in Bam and Jimmy. Like I said, if you don't find a team that has the value already in place, can afford to get you, and have players that they can trade to get you what you want, you're not winning nothing wherever you go, Dame. I can argue you're in your best spot right now because they got Scoot on a rookie contract, they got Shaedon on a rookie contract, and the ability to ultimately trade Simons for some stuff that you can use, ultimately trade Nurkic for some stuff that you can use. You're probably in the best spot right now. When you consider that, the only problem is that kid's taking your spot. He wears number 0 too. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an ego thing as well. And I ain't got no time for it if I'm Portland. Shutting you down, and we're going to wait and see what type of trades manifest over the next several weeks. When the season starts and guys start playing up their value, the other guys start getting hurt and teams start needing new things, then we can start to see something shake up. But in the offseason, when everything's at set value and nobody knows who can play as far as these young players, and we don't know how guys are going to come in next year on sophomore seasons and junior seasons, nah, man, I'm not making no trades for nothing. At this price tag, no. No nonsense, man. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.